Welcome to the We Are VIP podcast. Each week, your host, Casey Hasten, Director of Recruiting at VIP, will bring you valuable insights from thought leaders, introduce you to incredible companies, and bring you tips for landing your dream job from our team of executive recruiters at VIP. And now, Casey Hasten.
Welcome to the We Are VIP podcast, a podcast devoted to adding value to your career or candidate search, brought to you by VIP. I'm your host, Casey Hasten. I'm an executive recruiter, director of recruiting with VIP, and your all-around hiring guru. And you know it is my goal to bring to you thought leaders and people that are going to challenge you and help you to live a better life every single day. And today, I am so excited because I'm going to welcome Jason and Jana Shelfer to our show. So let me tell you a little bit about them. Jana is a gold medal Paralympian and a well-known radio personality, and she is passionate about helping others get to the starting line when facing obstacles. She emphasizes the importance of not making excuses and lives her life to the fullest, not letting anything hold her back. Her husband, Jason, is a mentor, speaker, and team builder, and he shares his wife's passion for helping others get what they want in life. I am so excited that you two are here today.
We are excited to be here with you, Casey.
Thanks for having us.
How could I not? I mean, who better to talk to us about not letting obstacles stand in our way than you two?
That's right.
I think it's amazing.
Although we had some technical obstacles, but we got through them.
We got through them.
Nothing's going to hold us back. It just creates, anytime an obstacle presents itself, it just gives you that opportunity to let your imagination go wild and figure out a way to get around it.
Mm-hmm. That is such a great way to start the show. But before we get into the meat of it, I love to talk about connections because in job seeking, it's really about who you know, right? We have a show right next door, Who You Know, right? And you've got to be able to make those connections and realize when it's important to meet someone new. So I'm going to put y'all on the spot.
Okay.
Do you remember who connected us?
Berta. She's like the queen connector.
She is the queen connector for sure.
99.7% accuracy rate.
Higher.
I think she's higher. Yeah, I do too. I mean,
seriously, she nails it every time.
She does.
And I think it's her superpower. I've told her this, that it is her superpower that she connects people and she actually puts time and energy into writing those introduction emails, and we all love her for it, right? It makes everybody rise.
Absolutely. I just saw her the other night, as a matter of fact, on a virtual group, and I was just like, oh, I got to catch up with her. It has been too long, other than our monthly networking group. So
we're gonna see her in about an hour.
Yep.
Oh my gosh,
you're jealous.
I'm so jealous. It's like you're like the third guest that I've talked to that has said that when I asked who connected. Like, yeah, we're about to go have coffee with Berta. I'm like, you're kidding me. Yeah, I'm about to fly to Florida.
You always have time to be kind. So make sure you're making connections, being kind to people, and always go that extra mile because you never know who you're talking with.
Oh, yes. And along those same lines, I tell, people when I'm training them all the time that it's a small world after all.
That's the truth.
Because that's why another reason why you want to be kind to people, because you never know. And I'll just tell you a quick story. Like,
please. When
I got into recruiting, I did not know, and I'd been a controller before at a small company, and there was a gentleman there that he was kind of our maintenance guy, and I was always nice to him, and he always brought his dog in and always had dog treats on my desk. Just keep this short. So about 3 months after I started working as a recruiter, brand new career, right? My boss told me, she goes, do you remember this guy when you worked here? And I went, yeah. How do you know him? And she goes, that's my dad.
It's a small world after all.
And she called him and did an informal reference on me. And he told her she would be an idiot not to hire me.
There you go.
Wow.
Isn't that awesome?
Get a better reference.
I know. And I had no idea. It was crazy. So, but this is about you guys. But thanks for letting me share that, because I just think it's
awesome.
it just really relates. But, and Jana, so we know you're a Paralympian, and I know that you are in a wheelchair, and I was shocked when I found that out, and it shows it on your intro video that you're paralyzed from the chest down.
Chest down.
Yeah.
But I was a radio personality for 12 years, and we never mentioned it on the air. So when I meet people in person, it's often a shock. They're often like, "Oh my gosh, what's wrong with you?"
The first question out of their mouth is, "What happened? What's wrong with you?"
Yeah.
And I think you said you were paralyzed from a car wreck, right?
Car accident when I was 15 years old. And at the time, I thought that was the worst thing that could possibly happen to a 15-year-old girl. And it's been 31 years. It will be 31 years on May 23rd. And honestly, I can truly say that I am who I am today, largely because of the experiences I've had as a paraplegic. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Wow. I mean, we could almost stop the show right there, but.
Mic drop.
So what inspires you to overcome the obstacles you face in life and live your life to the fullest?
What inspires us? Honestly, we look at life, and when we can find gratitude in all of our circumstances, there's really no other option, right?
Yeah. Gratitude just presents opportunities everywhere, and we only have one life to live. So every day we want to get up and live the best life we can. And we're just not going to settle for anything less.
I started doing this thing where I call it radical gratitude. And when you can
Tell me
start
more.
becoming grateful for the things that you perceive to be the worst things that ever happened to you, it kind of raises your frequency, and it takes you to a different level, because you start realizing that no matter what happens in this world, it's all working for you.
That's so interesting that you say that, because, I'm a big proponent of recognizing your energy, because that, like you said, directly affects how you perceive the world, and for you, it might have been really easy for you to come in at that level 1 energy, which is a victim mentality. I mean, if anybody has an excuse to act like a victim, it's you. And just say, why did this happen to me? And everything's happening to me, and I have no control. And you took.
I have to admit, I've been there. I have gone through depression before, and I've realized, you know what? I've become that person that is blaming. I'm blaming the people around me. I'm blaming my circumstances, and I'm blaming God and the universe. And so when you get into that doom loop, you have to stop and say, wait a minute, how do we get this snowball going into a different direction? And one way of doing that is you have to start showing up for yourself. You have to decide, hey, you know what? I can control the energy that I bring. I may have to let go of the outcome. I may have to surrender how this is all going to turn out, but I can control the way I show up. And I can control the person that I'm becoming. And that has a lot to do with your thoughts and the way that you're perceiving and the way you're thinking and imagining. And your thoughts will become your reality.
Yeah, and I can be the best me that I can be today, and I can improve on that tomorrow. If I look back and reflect on what I was today, and if I say, all right, I was the best I could be. There's nothing I can go back and change, but these are the things I might tweak a little bit going forward. And if I just increase a little bit incrementally every day, that's really where compounding.
There you
just
go.
gonna crush it.
I love that. And
we're married. Sometimes we finish each other.
It's okay.
No sentences, not sandwiches.
Oh my gosh, you two crack me up. And I love that you started this with gratitude, because I mean, more than anything, as I move through this, personal development, I see the importance of gratitude. And that's one of my non-negotiables in the morning is I write down my gratitude every single morning and every single night, because I want it to be the last thing on my brain.
Casey, we talked about my car accident that I had when I was 15 years old. When I was in rehab, within the first 2 or 3 days of being in rehab in Colorado, at Craig Hospital. I was in the lobby waiting for my physical therapist, and there was a fellow patient that happened to be sitting in the lobby. And he asked me if I could scratch his nose for him. Now, he was a young guy, and he literally was sitting in an electric wheelchair. And I was 15. I thought it was absolutely disgusting that anyone would ask me to scratch their nose. But I did it. For some reason, I reached up and I literally did like a 2-finger and scratched his nose. And in that moment, I kid you not, it has stuck with me all these years. Because in that moment, I went from feeling poor me, to how lucky am I? How lucky am I that I have my mobility? How lucky am I that I have my hands? How lucky am I that I have my voice? How lucky am I that I have these good looks? How lucky am I that I have this sass and this personality? And I just started going through all these things that I had, and it was just a slight little change that had profoundly affected the trajectory of my life.
And the big thing is, it's not how unlucky is the other person, because we only stand in our own spot, and you have to think of what you have and be grateful for what you have, what you can bring. And that's where we need to focus always. Never compare. And we have comparisonitis right now. And I think we've always had a case of it.
Oh, and you know what? I'm going to just piggyback off of that, if that's okay.
Just jump right in here.
Because a lot of times we compare our worst traits to other people's best. So a lot of times when we're on social media or we're looking even at our neighbors, we look at them and we're seeing the best facade of their outward picture
To our worst
and
truth.
then we tend to compare that to our beginning or our worst traits. So that's something to remember.
And that's another big thing, is to don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle.
That is my favorite quote. That is absolutely my favorite quote in the world. Do not compare your beginning to someone else's middle. That John Acuff, I think it's attributed to a couple of different people, but that's one guy.
Yeah, because I read it somewhere and I was like, that is so true. Because when we, at the beginning of COVID, when we started our podcast, we started our morning show, and a lot of things that were beginnings for us, because we knew that things were changing and we weren't going to continue as the norm. It was, whenever you have these big changes, it's not time to sit on the couch and say, woe is me, because that's not success. So we made new things. And it was that's kind of where we went.
Well, and so that kind of leads me to this next question. So many of our candidates, they lack the motivation to overcome these obstacles, like what you've done. And so, and especially in their careers, or if they're having to go for another job. So what advice could you share with these people to help them overcome their challenges?
So when it comes to a career, I would say that you need to get in touch with that inner child dream.
Love it.
You need to look around and you need to say, hey, does this blueprint, does this reality that I have created, does it match what I wanted to be when I was 4, 5, 6, 7 years old? And if it doesn't, then sometimes you have to be able to let go of who you are so that you can become who you might be. And I think I took that from Lao Tzu. And here's why I say that. I was 38 years old. I was a radio personality, very well known here in Orlando, Florida, Jana Banana. And from the outside, I thought I had a pretty fabulous life. But inside, I started hearing this voice. And this voice started saying, Jana, there's something bigger and better for you. And I was like, I'm not going to hear this. And so I started suppressing this voice. And the more I tried to ignore it and not hear it, the more my body started to yell at me And then it started to have a little tantrum, and it started to break down to the point where I couldn't sleep at night. I started having anxiety attacks. I found myself on antidepressants. I found myself drinking wine every single night. It was like, what is happening to my body? And the more that I tried to go from doctor to doctor to try to figure out what was wrong with me, it just became this perpetual problem. And I finally went to Jason and I said, I feel like I'm having a nervous breakdown or something. Like there is something inside me that's stirring. And so long story short, we went on vacation, a big vacation.
Bucket list.
A bucket list safari vacation. I had an encounter with an elephant. And in that moment, I felt this connection that, you know what, there is something bigger and better, and I need to follow. I need to follow that voice. And so I came home, I quit my job, and it wasn't all roses. Trust me, it was not roses. It has been a journey. It has been a spiritual awakening. It has been a process.
Let's say that train went into a dark tunnel.
It is turning out to be much bigger and better than I ever could have written the story myself.
That just gave me chills. And, that is my passion, is to help others find their passion, just like what you're talking about. And I actually had someone take me through that exercise of getting in touch with my inner child on the podcast.
Yeah, really? And what did your inner child say? What did your inner child want?
So he said, just think back to when you were little, and I mean little, what did you love to do? And remember, my first role was in accounting. Okay. So when I tell you what I love to do, you're going to see why now I'm in my passion. But he asked me that, and I could remember specifically that, I would put boxes together and build a stage. And then I would stand up and entertain everybody in the neighborhood or anybody that would listen.
Casey,
I'm talking 3 and 4.
You're my soul sister. I used to do the exact same thing. I would pretend I was Dolly Parton. I would go outside on the wraparound stage. It was a mix between Dolly Parton, Minnie Pearl, and Elvira. And I would put on shows for the neighborhood. I'm so with you.
Yeah, so I think this is really where we need to be,
Yes.
Jason, what did you do when you were little?
I just ran around to all the neighbors and asked them for a beer.
At 4 years old?
Because I was a helper. Yes, at 4 years old. Oh. So whenever I hear that someone has a problem, I find solutions. And that's what I've always loved doing. And my mom was cooking shrimp or something, and the broth needed a beer for the broth. But we didn't have alcohol in the house. So when she said, I don't have a beer it was batter she was making. And so I ran to all the neighbors' house at 4 years old saying, my mama needs a beer. She needs it real bad. And we had just moved into this suburban neighborhood. No one knew us. We'd probably been there for a couple of months. And now all the neighbors think my mom's a raging alcoholic. In a very small town.
But you grew up to be a helper. You are you like to serve, and you are a collaborator.
And I think serving is one of the keys to success and one of the keys to happiness.
Oh, that just makes me love you more.
Aw. I hope that, people are watching this and not just listening to it, because you two are throwing these goo eyes back and forth at each other, and it's cracking me up.
Well, we're still just new in our marriage. So
no, we're not.
I didn't think you were.
15 years.
15. We just celebrated 15.
Congratulations.
I mean, for 60 years.
Not very many, though.
Twice as long.
No, this morning on our morning show, we were talking about how often married couples should have sex.
Interesting.
Keep it real, Casey. That's what we do.
Well, maybe we'll have that topic on another show.
Talk about overcoming.
I bet you we're going to get some downloads on this one, though.
No pun intended.
Oh, okay. Let's move on. So you describe yourself as a push girl, which means you help others push their potential. So how can people find a push within themselves to push their own potential? This is for me.
Oh, are you finding that you need a little push right now, Casey?
You know what? Probably if I pushed myself anymore, I would never sleep. But you never know. Sometimes I think that there's more for me to do out there. So yes, push
You know
me.
what I'm really finding? I am finding that, so Jason and I have really been on this kick of living lucky. And what we're finding is the more that we show up for ourselves, the more that we're doing our morning routine, the more that we're eating right, meditating, pursuing the career of our dreams, the more we're getting out of our own way, getting out of our comfort zone, the more that we push ourselves to be our best, the more the people around us seem to be rising as well. There's almost a ripple effect, and it's almost magical, to be honest with you, because the more that you start filling your own cup, it not only starts coming out of every orifice, but you naturally want to start helping the people around you. So you want to start serving, and you want to start believing in them because you're believing in yourself. So we're all reflections. We're all mirrors. And so really what I'm finding is, in order to get the people around me to get to a different frequency, I really need to lead by example.
Yeah, and that's an amazing dichotomy when your cup is being filled up so quickly that you can't pour it out quick enough. And when you set your goals, go ahead and set and think bigger. Always think bigger. But then I say don't chase after them. So don't exhaust yourself feeling like you're having to go down a highway all the time, 90 miles an hour, recklessly through life. Because as you are in the flow, it's happening with you. And that is just a magical moment where you are really truly living lucky, and you can feel it around you. And it's crazy.
You know, I love that you say that, living lucky, because I can't remember if I shared this with you guys in our conversation, but I had someone say to me one day, they're like, Casey, you're just so lucky. And I'm like, yeah, it's not luck. I create these coincidences.
Yep.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay, so here's the thing. So I went through a doom loop where I went through a depression, and I actually grieved my old identity. I went through all of those emotions where you have anger and resentment and depression, and then finally you come to acceptance. And what I realized that when I went through that doom loop is it just kept getting worse. But then as I started showing up for myself, serving, finding gratitude in my circumstances, what I found, the opportunities started to fall in place. And it's almost like we started creating our own luck. And not only did we create our own luck, my dad used to say, Jana, luck is when preparation meets opportunity, right? Well, we've been preparing, we've been showing up, and the more you show up, the more confident you get. Confidence is really just making a commitment. That's what confidence is. So you start getting this confidence, and then people can feel this energy that you're putting off. And it's almost like the universe then starts to conspire through you. And next thing I know, it feels like these synchronicities just start happening. The right people start coming in my life. The opportunities, like I said, just start falling out of the sky. And it's almost like you're in a dance with the world. It's really remarkable.
The thing is, these people and these opportunities are there all the time. They're always with you. It's just that as you are open and as your gratitude expands and as you are available to them, they present themselves. It's the reticular activating system. And
Oh, I love that you brought that up.
Yellow Mercedes, because you haven't seen one ever and you've always wanted one. Now you see them on every corner.
Yellow Mercedes. Why did you pick that car in particular?
Because I saw a picture of the banana car earlier.
Okay.
And I love that you brought that up because, we can talk quotes and trade them back and forth all day long, I'm sure. But what you focus on grows. And it's because of what you just said about the reticular activating system, it's so important that we focus our mind. And that's why when we focus on gratitude, we start seeing everything with gratitude, because that's what our mind thinks we want to see. So that's what it filters in.
Yeah, and your subconscious is going to prove you right every single time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So if you think that things are going to turn out badly, your brain's going to find a way to make them turn out badly.
Yes.
It's just the way it is. If you think you're going to have a bad time when you go to the party, you're going to have a bad time.
What you look for, you will find. Casey, I'm a water skier, and so many times my water skiing coach has said, Jana, if you want your ski to go right, look right. And sure enough, you start looking right and your ski starts to go that way because your body starts to go that way. And then next thing you know, that's the direction you're going. And then if you want to go left, what do? You look left. And then again, everything just seems to follow. And it dawned on me one day, I thought, you know what? Where our eyes go is where our life goes. It's where our energy goes. It's where we end up.
That is beautiful. I love that.
When you were learning to ski and you couldn't get up the first couple of times because you were focused on the water. It's like when you're stuck in life, you're stuck in the water. He's like, no, where do you want to be? You want to be out of the water. So look up.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden now the boat's doing the work.
Yes.
The universe does the work for you when you let it and you focus on it.
High five on that. Yeah.
That was beautiful. All right. So we're actually running out of time, but I want to ask you another question before we get to our VIP questions. Okay. So on a recent episode of the Living Lucky podcast, you discussed communicating your boundaries. Mm-hmm. That is a very important skill in the workplace. And so how can you overcome the fear of discussing your boundaries with others at work? And we've all had to have these discussions in one way or another.
Yeah, I think personally you have to decide that you're important enough, first of all. So you have to know that you have to have the confidence in yourself. And one of our big things is show up for yourself, because boundaries are there to be crossed as a test. And if you allow people to continue to cross those, they're going to continue to move that boundary for you. So that conversation is going to ultimately come up when your ecosystem is pushed to its limits. And by the time that happens, a lot of times it's gone too far. So
saying no is important.
Yeah.
Being able to say no with kindness and always, if your intention is to be kind, that's important to state up front. But saying no is actually saying yes to yourself. Oh. And we teach people how to treat us. So it is important to establish those boundaries so that we can let our souls stay true and never doubt. Stand for your soul.
And I believe there's always a way to be kind in doing any of that.
Absolutely.
As long as it comes from a place of kindness, you're in good shape.
I hate that this has flown by so fast. Can we just talk? Like, Jana's already said she's going to call me every day. But
yes, let's do it. We're going to talk eyelashes.
Yes, we are.
And affirmations.
And affirmation. Oh, that could be a clubhouse room.
Eyelashes and
affirmations.
I'm not showing up unless it's just affirmations, because my eyelashes are wonderful.
You do have nice eyebrows. I will give you that one.
All right, guys, are you ready for our VIP questions?
Yes, please.
So, and I don't know if y'all have decided, like, if one of y'all is going to answer, we'll just go. We'll see what happens. So,
okay.
If you were chosen to be one of the first colonists on Mars, what 3 things or people would you take with you?
This was a tough one, Casey. I would definitely take my husband, Jason, because he makes me laugh.
You made it.
I would take my dog.
Oh,
Peter,
your dog is so cute.
Because she has been probably my biggest lesson. I've learned my biggest life lessons from my dog. And also sometimes when you get frustrated in life, you just need to go pet the dog. And then the third thing is I would have to take...
Say a fork.
No, I was going to say maybe some sort of satellite video so that we could share the experience with the world. And I feel like that would align with what my childhood dream is, and it would be serving and giving to other people. And I just
do a show.
There you go.
Do a show from Mars.
Eyelashes and affirmations.
I'll go with Jana's answer.
From Mars.
I'm going to hide a fork somewhere in my pocket.
That fork's important to you, huh?
I got it. I love food.
You can learn how to grow potatoes like the Martian did.
That's right.
Okay, so my next question, and I think I know this answer, but I want you to share it with the audience. So what is one thing you do each morning to set your day up for success?
We have a pretty rigid morning routine.
It's solid.
It is very solid, and it has become longer and longer each and every day. But I would say writing in my gratitude journal and meditating. Those two things have been game changers for me. How about you, Jay?
Yeah. That's it. It's the morning. It's the whole morning routine. But those are two big things. So the gratitude at night, and then the couple of gratitude pieces in the morning to keep my brain always thinking gratitude when I sleep. Game changers.
And if only we had Casey's gratitude journal that's about to come out, it would just make it that much more fun.
Got pushed back.
Thank you for bringing that up. And it's actually going to be like a mega journal. Gratitude is just one little bitty piece, but it's important. It's a very important piece.
Awakening.
It's an all you need journal.
That's exactly right. It's like the Swiss knife.
There you go.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, I may use that. I
love
just
that.
thought of that because it's got everything.
Write that down. You should journal that.
I should journal that. You're right. I have my journal here. It's just in the other room. So,
I love it.
yeah, I'll have to send y'all some samples and stuff. But anyway, okay. My final question.
Okay.
And I think that I'd like for y'all to answer this one like it was about both of you. So if your life's work as a couple was being summarized in a news article, what would the headline be?
Mystery couple comes out of nowhere during COVID, changes the world for billions.
And they are flawsome.
Oh my gosh, you guys have
We're a
been
little
so much
quirky.
fun.
We have our flaws.
It's
but
awesome.
Overall, we like to unleash people's inner awesome.
We're perfectly imperfect.
There you go.
That's beautiful. How do people find you?
JanaShelfer.com. That is our website right now. It is a work in progress, but that's where we house all of our social media sites, and we have a lot of big projects on the way. We have a book coming out soon. We have a morning live show on Facebook where we just have coffee with our community every morning at 6:55. We have a YouTube channel, and we are speaking on Clubhouse quite frequently. So JanaShelfer.com, please join us. We would love to have you.
Well, and in Clubhouse, now you shared this with me earlier, y'all are actually helping to moderate Hal Elrod's Clubhouse room, which
He has Miracle Morning
Yeah.
Clubhouse room, which is every single morning, and Central Time. It's from 7 to 9 a.m. And we just talk about morning routines.
Yeah.
So Hal Elrod, which I think he's been a guest of yours.
Yes.
He has the Savers program. So we talk about silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing.
you're going to have to ping me into that room one day.
I would love that.
Yeah.
And then we
Love
also
it.
have the Living Lucky Club, which is our club.
Ping me into that too. I'm all about Clubhouse right now. So,
Awesome.
well, you guys, you have been such a treat. It just doesn't feel like work when, you get to talk to such amazing people. I'm so grateful. Here's my gratitude that I get to talk to amazing people like you guys.
It has definitely been our pleasure, and anytime that we can connect with you and your crew over there, it is just a joy.
Awesome. I have one last thing to say to you guys before we sign off. You both are VIPs.
We are
champions,
the Friends VIP. Yeah.
And that's a wrap for today. Join us next week here on the We Are VIP podcast. We'd love to know how we can help you be a VIP. To find out more, log on to wearevip.com.